Welcome to This Day. It is Friday and it is May 28th. Our happy Memorial Day weekend. All right, no open meetings today, so I'm just going to tell you who's on our show. We have a United update with Elsie Addington, and then we have RadNet with Dr. Susie Bash, and she talks to us about artificial intelligence in radiology. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our local weather. It is looking quite nice already. Looks like we're burning off that fog. Look at that beautiful look there behind us. I will just move out of the way so you can see that beautiful shot. Friday, we are looking at 75-59, tomorrow 72-56, then 72-57. Monday, partly sunny, 77-59. Tuesday, 75-64. Our sunrise this morning was at 5:43, and our sunset will be at 7:54. And as I mentioned, a happy Memorial Day weekend to you. All right, when we come back, we will have the United update with Elsie, so stay tuned.
During the pandemic, thousands turned to AgeWell for help. Since March of last year, AgeWell has provided Orange County seniors with more than 40,000 grab-and-go lunches, 500,000 home-delivered meals, as well as transportation and case management services. We were there for you then, and we're here for you now. Stay strong. Stay well. Age well. Learn more about our services or how to get involved today at myagewell.org.
Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Elsie Addington, who is here on behalf of United to give us a finance report, but not just any old finance report.
No. It's a special finance report just for you, Lisa.
Thank you so much.
Okay, this week I want to talk a little bit about some issues regarding United Mutual Board and its involvement with our finances in the village, or in the mutual in the village. Every so often we get comments about our mutual's finances and its money management. Most of the financial heavy lifting is performed by the VMS finance department, but many aspects of finance oversight is the United Board's responsibility. Perhaps it is not too apparent because it occurs behind the scenes, but we really work hard at it. I want to emphasize that this board takes its fiduciary responsibilities very seriously. 2 directors sign off on every check written on the reserves. 2 directors reconcile the checks from operating funds, and 3 directors sign off on resale packages, all on an ongoing and timely basis. So that's like 6 directors directly involved with this stuff. They rotate and vary, but it's still. And there is a review made on subleasing and transfer of trust documents every month. Mm-hmm. So that's even more.
Yeah, a lot of eyeballs.
So a lot of eyeballs. But wait, Lisa, we've done more. We've even done more, okay? United now has separate accounts for our reserve account and operating expenses, so we directors can more closely watch the expenditures. Before 2021, the reserves were accounted for separately on the books, but all the money was actually in one account. This made it easier to occasionally, and with board approval always, transfer funds on the books, just on the books, to cover shortfalls in the operating fund balance. These occasional transfers were then paid back to the reserves from the operating fund. The loans usually, and there's air quotes around loans, the loans usually were for real estate taxes, which are due twice a year, and for which we pay about $12 million, because not the $12 million, but the reason they're due twice a year is because the county is on a different fiscal year than the village is. Mm-hmm. I used to do the same thing when I was paying my own real estate taxes by transferring money from my savings account to my checking account, then paying myself back from subsequent paychecks. I'll bet you've done that sometimes yourself, haven't you, Lisa?
I just did it the other day.
Did you?
Yes.
Well, sometimes we're a little light, but we know we can pay ourselves back, and so that's what we do.
Right.
And that's just how it goes with cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we can't do that anymore because United decided it was time to get in strict compliance with the Davis-Sterling Act and to have two physically separate accounts, one for operating and one for reserves. Mm-hmm. Now, again, with the board's direction, the tax money, the real estate tax money shortfall is actually transferred from the reserve account to the operating account. Like, well, as real as money is, you do it on the computer and it says you have less money in your reserves than it has in your than you did a minute before, but it's all just computers. It's not like cash in buckets, but the money is moved, transferred from the reserve account to the operating account, and the money is moved back after a few more paybacks, in which this case is money from subsequent assessments. Mm-hmm. So as opposed to your paychecks, okay? So it's money from subsequent assessments. So there is not and never has been any willy-nilly borrowing from reserves by the board or by VMS, as rumor would have it, but merely shifting money between accounts a couple times a year and then replaced within a few months. And that's just like very similar to the example I just gave about your savings account and your property taxes or your insurance. Beginning next month, the finance director will be making available for board review the payroll expenditures from the reserve. With that, we will be in full compliance with the Davis-Sterling Act provisions for our reserves. These payments represent we've always reviewed the payroll accounts and seen the money going out in payroll, coming in assessments and going out in payroll. But some of that money, it was divided again on the books. And some of it goes towards operations and some of it goes to reserves. And the payments that we're talking about now represent the payroll that's related to budgeted projects that are payable out of reserves, like fumigation and painting cycles, roof replacement, projects, as opposed to everyday operating payroll expenses like grounds maintenance, janitorial, plumbing, etc.
Right.
And this is a good time to say that we have confirmed that we have over $20 million in our reserves, whereas we're only required, whereas we're required by the Davis-Sterling Act to have only 10.5 million, only 10.5 million. Mm-hmm. That's probably enough about reserves, right, Lisa?
Well, wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. So if you have 10.5 already, why do you have the extra?
Oh, well, that's just the bare minimum that the law requires, and it's based on an algorithm that I'm personally not incredibly familiar with. I mean, I could find out, but the 20 million is just where, and actually that's still not at 100% funding, but that's like where we want to be. We're just at a higher comfort level. Like if something bad happened, instead of only having 10.5 million as a buffer, we have 20 million. Yeah. But hopefully all those monies will go for scheduled projects, which is what they're earmarked for. Right. That's why they call them reserves.
Yep.
That's a good question though. I have just a couple more things about United Board's involvement in all things financial. Okay. Each year there was an external audit of the books for the past fiscal year. This year, it was done by KPMG, one of the major auditing firms in this country. There were no errors reported, and United had a clean bill of health from the certified auditors.
Fantastic.
And isn't that great? And our finance department's great, and our oversight is, of course, Sterling. Mm-hmm. Like Davis-Sterling, get it?
Yeah.
I did not say that. Each month, our finance committee has a thorough review of the finances in the finance committee meeting. Mm-hmm. The committee welcomes any resident to attend the meetings, which are accessible from the calendar section on the village website, lagunawoodsvillage.com. Mm-hmm. You probably all know that website, but that's lagunawoodsvillage.com. And there's you click on the meeting, and then it will show the link to the Zoom, and you could actually come to the meeting. You can't be on the committee, but you can watch the committee and you could ask questions if you have any. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason why any resident should have any questions about any of this. I mean, there's reasons why they have questions, but there's no reason why they can't get the answers. Yes. So you're welcome to come, anybody. And a great reason to come to these meetings and look at these finance report, which incidentally, these finance reports are also accessible from the website under documents United Board, agendas, Finance Committee. You can see all the minutes from the Finance Committees historically, at least from 2021. And that's a good place to see where United spends its money. There have been sporadic complaints among some residents who say they pay outrageous assessments and receive nothing for it. Our assessments, Lisa, our assessments pay the water bills. That right there is millions of dollars. Pays the water bill for our units. It pays for our, and that's not true in Third, but it's true in United. So it pays for our water bill. It pays for our garbage pickup. It gets our lawns mowed. It makes repairs to our unit, not to mention access to our wonderful amenities. So nobody's getting nothing. I mean, even if you don't walk out the door, you're getting a lot.
Yeah.
We are getting a lot for our assessments. If you have a maintenance problem, you need just dial one number. No searching around for a plumber or an electrician, appliance repair person, or a roofer. No matter where I go on vacation, I know I can call resident services if there's emergency I just remembered, or somebody calls me, and they'll come and repair the damage. Don't you think that's a pretty sweet deal, Lisa?
I think it is. Yes. One dial and you've got help, and obviously you said the water is included, and that could be a lot.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is, especially in a village this size. And if you divide it up amongst all the people with a shared cost principle, it really isn't that much money to be sustaining a household physically, and they're not food, but everything else. For a month. It's fabulous, I think. Finally, while we're speaking about our finances, I would like to bring up one other matter. Okay. During United's closed session, the board looks very closely at the delinquency report and actively seeks resolution of every account that is in arrears. For those who are behind in payments, the board is willing to set up new payment schedules and tries to assist in any way it can. We are your board, and we try to be empathetic and compassionate. But United is not a charity, and our main sources of income are the assessments, and all of our assessments need to be paid to benefit and care for every resident in this mutual, and that's who the board has to be loyal to. Is not just every single resident, which we are loyal to and we love you, but we have to look at the whole, every single resident as a group, okay? Right. So all residents. It's not a charity, and our main sources of income are the assessment, and all of our assessments need to be paid to benefit and care for every resident in this mutual. Every effort will continue to be made to collect in a timely fashion. Please keep, I'm going to emphasize that, every effort will continue to be made to collect in a timely fashion. Please keep in mind that uncollected assessments can lead to cuts in services or increased monthly assessments for everybody.
Right.
And just take your pick, cuts in services or increased assessments. And that really, Lisa, is all for today. And I hope that you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you so much for the report. I appreciate it. And, you always have very thorough information. So thank you.
You're more than welcome, Lisa. Hope to see you again soon.
All right. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. And we'll be right back after this. Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Dr. Bash, who is here on behalf of RadNet. Well, Dr. Bash, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I have talked to RadNet in the past regarding artificial intelligence. And at that time, it was just kind of a thought and they were thinking about incorporating it. But here we are, maybe a year or so later, and it is now being used. And even yourself, you said that you've been using it for some time now. So before we get into how it's being used, can you give me a background about what artificial intelligence really is?
Absolutely, yes. Artificial intelligence is thriving within RadNet and really throughout the world. So it's something we've heard a lot about recently. So artificial intelligence, or AI, is a means of using computers to enhance human thinking. And AI doesn't only allow thought augmentation, but it can also improve our efficiency, our work efficiency, our revenue, quality, accuracy, and even safety. And amazingly, AI algorithms can actually learn from their own mistakes and keep improving over time, which I think is just fascinating. So the more data you feed, the better it gets. So we want computers really to take us to a place that we can't go ourselves. You know, we'd like computers to really improve our lives, our health, and our happiness, but in a way that's safe and universally beneficial. And so basically, we want computers to augment human capacity. And AI is playing a very important role, but we didn't really hear about it 20 years ago. You know, we hear a lot about it now. And really the reason is the currency of computers, which is data. We now have so much more data. So computers achieve AI by a means of running data through large computer-generated neural networks. And computers are now sophisticated enough that they can analyze large volumes of high-dimensional data and recognize patterns. And amazingly, computers are actually much better at humans than recognizing patterns. And so computers can be taught to answer questions that enhance human capabilities. And this is really helpful in all areas. But for me personally, as a neuroradiologist, I'm really interested in its potential in improving medical imaging. So AI is really poised to revolutionize not just medicine, but really all occupational sectors throughout the world. So all areas of our lives which are impacted by technology will soon be transformed by AI.
Well, and I think that there is some worry regarding that. However, before we even address that, one thing I do want to address is how RadNet is actually using it. I mean, obviously it's used, as you mentioned, in radiology, but what does it do to help the radiologist to be able to identify certain things?
Yes. So there are many different AI products on the market. RadNet uses AI products that work well in an outpatient setting. So I'm fortunate enough to work for a company that's actually the largest outpatient imaging enterprise in the United States, and they're very patient-centric and forward-thinking. So they've always been very open to AI, and they're using AI to improve. Well, we're all using AI to improve patient care. So I can give you some examples of what we do. For example, we use AI products to help us with billing on the front end, because that's something that's very labor intensive, and AI can help a lot with that. We work with a company, Philips. I'm sure you've heard of that, and we do a no-show program with them. It's sort of a pilot program, helps us identify patients that are at risk for no-show, and we can give them a reminder call. We work with an AI company that allows an app on your cell phone to remind you of your annual mammograms. It can be very helpful. One of the most exciting things that we do with AI is we work with like a company called Subtle Medical Products, Subtle MR, and also some of the major vendors. GE has a product, and this uses AI to allow us to scan patients between, I would say, 45 to 75% faster, which is amazing because, patients don't really like, everyone, all of us generally will go through an MRI, at least one in our lifetime, but we don't really want to lie still in the magnet for 30 minutes. So we can get our patients out quicker than half the time now, but yet with improved image quality. So it's a win-win for patients who can get in and out quicker. It's better for the radiologist because they have better image quality, and it's better for the imaging facility efficiency. So that's a very exciting, that's going to revolutionize everything. I predict that every imaging center everywhere in the world will soon be using AI to do this kind of thing, because there's just no downside at all. And I personally have been using AI in my clinical neuroradiology practice for the last 14 years. So I work with Cortex and also another company, Icometrics. And these products, Cortex products, NeuroQuant and IcoBrain, I use these on patients that have potential dementia or seizures or multiple sclerosis or brain trauma. And what this does is it measures, it's called quantitative volumetric imaging. And all that means is it's measuring things in the brain and can compare that to a large normative database. So for example, as we age, we all, start to get memory loss, unfortunately, over time. And the question is that just normal aging, or could that be an emerging neurodementia syndrome like Alzheimer's disease? And so these products are very helpful. In fact, our neurologists, once they use them, they will keep ordering them every single time for patients with these indications, because it will measure substructures of the brain that are pertinent to things like memory loss, which would be the hippocampi, and then compare that to a large normative database. So you know whether that degree of brain volume loss is just normal for age, or whether you're sort of outside of the norm for age, which may be an indicator that you're actually developing something like Alzheimer's disease. And so that is very useful. And they also have new developments where they help us to measure brain tumors and help in identifying strokes early, which can save lives. So that's a very exciting area. And then we also work with a company called Ezra, which can help detect prostate cancer early and measure tumors within the prostate. And then a very interesting new development, RadNet incorporated a company called Deep Health recently, and that helps in early screening for breast cancer on mammograms. It turns out, and this is just amazing, it actually just came out in an article in Nature, but turns out that the AI algorithm can recognize breast cancer on a mammogram up to 2 years earlier than expert radiologists, which is just amazing. So radiologists can work together with this AI technology and really help save lives with it.
Wow, you're right. It definitely will be changing all aspects of our world, I think, as a whole. So that is absolutely amazing. Now, of course, as I mentioned earlier, there are some concerns about that. I mean, maybe a radiologist would say, well, gosh, if that's going to do that for us and for our patients 2 years in advance, well, then what am I really still needed? I think a lot of people are worried about that.
Yes, that's an excellent question. And it's actually a question I get a lot. And so the answer to that is really no. AI is an outstanding tool, but it really remains just that. It's a tool. So AI enhances medical providers' abilities, but it can't replace that human interaction. You know, although AI is better at pattern recognition, humans are really better at global reasoning. So no radiologist that I'm aware of has ever lost a job to AI, and I don't anticipate that they will in the near future. It's really designed to work hand in hand with humans, so that humans do what they're good at, AI does what it's good at, and today finding that we can do extraordinary things when we work together with AI. So, you know, as the population ages and more of us are needing imaging for their health workup and for diagnosis and for treatment planning, you know, we're finding that AI can really improve medical imaging in all areas. So it's a welcome addition. It's not something to be afraid of. RadNet always, before we ever adopt a new AI product, we always confirm its efficacy and also its safety before we ever use it with patients.
That's good to know. And then, of course, you said it's already being used now. So what would be the future of AI for RadNet?
Well, the future is really it's going to continue growing. There are new AI products that are coming out all the time. It happens to be a passion of mine, so I'm very involved with the industry and always watching out for things. But it's something that we are going to be using more and more in a way that is, when we find things that are beneficial to patients, then we're going to start using it. And, you know, AI products, there are certain products that we don't use so much at RadNet, but that are extremely helpful, like in a hospital setting where you have more acute critical findings. So AI products, for example, triage products, identify neck fractures and pulmonary embolisms, which is a clot in your arteries in your lungs that can cause you to stop breathing, and other things like that. It can identify that earlier, like brain bleeds, and then mark those studies stat. So they reviews the images before it ever gets to the radiologist. And then when the radiologist pulls up their work list, they see a stat study that the AI has said, okay, hey, listen, there's something abnormal here. Look at this quickly. And then we can then call the team and interpret it. And again, that can help save lives. And with the strokes, you know, we've now found that this AI technology, not only does it find, so a stroke is basically where you have a blood clot that, you know, blocks an artery in your brain and then causes those brain cells to die. It's very, very important on the timing for strokes. You want to treat immediately because we can actually really help. For every 1 minute you go without blood flow to your brain, we actually lose 1.9 million brain cells. Wow. So this AI technology will find the clot, and within 6 minutes, it will actually, this particular product I'm talking about, will alert the entire stroke team. So the neuroradiologist, the neurologist, the interventionist, everyone, and we can get that patient on the table, put in a clot retrieval device and remove that clot, and the patient can wake up perfectly normal again. And so there are very, very exciting ways that AI is helping to save lives. And that's just going to keep getting better and better as technology improves and that, innovation improves.
Wow, well, that is certainly a lot of information, and I mean, I really enjoyed hearing all of that, and I look forward to learning more, which is great. And you're a wonderful speaker, so thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right, and we'll be right back after this. All right, our movie today is The Jungle Book, and you can see that today at 2 p.m. with subtitles and 6 p.m. without subtitles, and that is brought to you by Memorial Care. Now, I mentioned it's the Memorial Day weekend, so I wanted to give you some things that you can do this weekend, especially for those who are veterans and active or retired military. This weekend, you can go to the Ocean Institute, and it will be open from 11 to 3 today, and they have a general admission cost. However, active military and veterans are free this weekend, so check that out. Then we also have a fun event that is going on at the Mission San Juan Capistrano this weekend. It's free for you to go onto the site and see the mission. And then one last one I wanted to mention to you is that the Village Bazaar is coming here on June 5th, and we'll give you more information about that next week. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our weather one last time. Of course, it's burnt off already, and we've got nice sunny skies. We are looking at temperatures, mostly sunny today, 75-59, 72-56, Sunday, 72-57, Monday, 77-59, Tuesday, 75-64. Have a great day in the Village. Happy Friday again, and you can watch us again right here on Village Television at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Even though some things are far away, we plan for them ahead of time because they're important. When it comes to your celebration of life, it's really no different. You want to plan ahead now so your family doesn't have to later, and create a service that reflects your values, character, and traditions, no matter what they may be. At Dignity Memorial, we listen to every detail and make sure everyone is remembered.
Are your hearing aids not working as well as you'd like? The person who programs your hearing aids is way more important than how much you spent on them. The good news is that we can help. I'm a retired electronics engineer who will precisely reprogram your hearing aids to your unique hearing loss. If that doesn't give you significantly better hearing, I won't charge you a dime. You have nothing to lose and better hearing to gain. So call Hearing Remedy right now and ask for your personal better hearing appointment.
Welcome back. 7-8 Dental is making a difference. Doctor, please tell us about how you're helping parents and children. Mom.
We know preventive dentistry is the key. Starting now, all children 15 years and younger will receive a free dental exam. If work is needed on your children, we will use our resources to help find funding.
Thank you, doctor. Okay, parents, give your child the 7-8 Dental smile.